Good afternoon, folks. Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. It's the afternoon news break. 1, 2 mics check. Good afternoon, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Today, about the GOP meeting that took place at Mount Olympus.
Freddie wins. Freddie.
GOP have had enough of Mr. Breen. Mike Breen is no longer on the team. Good afternoon, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Mike Breen is no longer on the team, folks. I don't know if that's for a fact, but the GOP is pretty much fed up with him. And they don't understand what he's doing. Let's go over that. Good afternoon, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez here. I'm getting some information. I've been getting it all morning in regards to a meeting that took place at Mount Olympus, the diner off Central Avenue, where a lot of our political elites go to meet, I guess. Nick Spano, I hear, attends, goes there to meet sometimes, the Jerris. But the GOP were there over the weekend, and they wanted to speak with Mike Breen. And it was the party elders, you know, the officials, the top guys in the GOP. Justin Tubiolo, I hear, was there. I believe John Murtaugh was there and some others, and it got heated. They were questioning Mike Breen's recent, decisions. He's been supporting everything Mike Spano, everything Democrat. He supported the term extension. He supported this redistricting that just took place that, by the way, there's going to be a meeting about it today at the Riverfront Library, and I believe tomorrow at the Will Library. So make sure you attend those meetings. A lot of people are upset over the new maps that were created by the Democrats, right? That was the Spanos. They were very involved in that. David Tubiolo said he was not, really involved in it. So people were mad at him over it. David Tubiolo was a Republican, remember, and he's now a turncoat. He's the Democrat now, but his dad, former chair of the Republicans, is still a Republican. So they're upset about the redistricting of these maps. They basically weakened Moranti, I hear's district. And so that's the issue. And that's because Moranti has, been going against these guys, right? He's the only Republican, only real Republican on the council. Well, there were only 2 left, but he's the only real one. And they know he wants to run for mayor. And so they're going to give him a hard time. Right. And Breen has been selling them out. Breen is probably going to become a Democrat soon, too. And I just want to read this post here by Moranti. Yonkers Republican Party stands against newly gerrymandered Yonkers City Council District 6. And that's his district. On Friday, January 20th, the Yonkers City Council released their new city council lines. The new city council lines saw drastic changes in most districts. So basically, they're making they redistricted this the 6th district to include more Democrats, right? So that's weakening Moranti's voter base there. Every decade, federal law dictates that Yonkers City Council must redistrict the 6 council seats so that the population matches a 5% interval. District 6 saw the biggest alteration. It now spans from the Hudson River to Central Avenue. This new district will give Democrats an unfair advantage in the 2025 elections. Yonkers chairman and former Yonkers City Councilman John Larkin said, if you look up gerrymander in the dictionary, you will see the new District 6. Elbridge Jerry would be proud of this district. It would be unfair to allow District 6 as it's drawn to pass. It's a shame that the district I represented for 8 years has been so radically altered. Larkin continued, the Northwest Yonkers was split up messy. In particular, the neighborhoods of Monastery Heights and Woodstock Manor have been cut street by street into districts 1, 3, and 6, to the point that in Woodstock Manor, neighboring houses are in 3 different city council districts. Larkin continued, this map moves around over a quarter of the Yonkers population into new districts. With such radical alterations, the city council map, residents have 3 days notice to let their voices be heard. The districts will be on the city council agenda for the 31st, giving the Republican Party only a few days to fight. Larkin ended with, "We need every concerned citizen possible to come to the Riverfront Library Monday, that's today, at 6 p.m., or the Will Library on Wednesday, not Tuesday, on Wednesday at 6 p.m. to let their voices heard." And they're pissed off. The Republican Party has been really weakened here. I mean, look, let's be honest. Justin Tubiolo is not truly a Republican anymore, right? His son is a Democrat now, and he is more concerned with his son's future, right? His son's future in the Democratic Party, and therefore he has to help the Democrats get what they want. So he's basically an operative, a Democratic operative, working within the Republican Party. He's a mold, guys, and you ought to consider, maybe revoking his Republican party membership as well. Might as well join his son. Might as well. Everyone just about has been turning over and going into the Democratic Party because that's who runs the show. Nick Spano, Mike Spano, the Spano family, and they want to remain in politics. They know that the Democrats here in the city of Yonkers have grown. They see where the numbers are. And so that's why they're turning, right? David Tubiolo, I hear, turned on the advice of John Rubo, who turned on the advice of Rennie Spano. And now, David and his dad are on different parties. But, Justin Tubiolo, I should say, truly, like I said, is working to sabotage the Republicans. And I'm just letting you guys know what I've been hearing. And obviously, you guys should know that already. So I don't know. They're upset. Guys, I'm going to be at the meeting today. So if you're able to go, come join me. I'll be there. If not, you can watch it live on my page here on Basement Politics. And as I get more information, I will post it. Our 6th district map will be changed by proposed redistricting. Moranti's on fire. Statement from I just learned that of these town hall meetings on Friday, January 20th, with a notification by email. Sadly, as your council member, I was totally cut out of the redistricting decision-making process. Equally upsetting is that you, the people, have not been duly informed as to how this would impact you as the voters and given virtually no notice and time to absorb these pending changes. This is reminiscent of the ram-it-through process used to get the term limits extended, and it's blatantly chipping away at our democratic process. From notice received on the 20th to placement on the council agenda for the 30th, we'll make it 10-day process in total. What is this with this 10-day process thing, right? They really love this 10-day process thing. Unbelievable. And he goes on to say, please rest assured that I will not abandon my current constituents and will continue to assist you with your issues. And I now welcome my new constituents that have been added to the 6th district. Please attend either town hall to speak your mind on these proposed changes. And so he's welcoming his new constituents. And Moranti, you really have to follow through, all right? Look, I would have been really, really on your side here, which I am on your side, even though you didn't help me out. You know why I'm on your side and you didn't help me out? Because I'm on the side of what's right, right? I want to be on the side of what's right. And he's right. Moranti is absolutely right, right? Mike Breen has once again sold the Republican Party for a Spano deal. Shame on Breen. Quid pro Breen. Quid pro Breen. That's a funny one. Yes. And they're saying that he sold out because he wants a job after his political career is over. His wife, Patty, I hear, who watches Basement Politics because she has been liking some of the podcasts. Hi, Patty. How you doing? How's everything? Hope it's good. How's Megan doing? Tell her I said hello. Send her my best, and tell her I said congratulations on the promotion. Megan Breen, the daughter of Mike Breen, recently was promoted by the Spano family, by Mike Spano. He's getting the perks. Patty Breen, I hear from reliable sources, is engaged with Nick Spano in real estate deals that are going on here in the city of Yonkers. So they're tied into the Spanos. 20 years of a, tight relationship there. That's going to be where his loyalty lies, right? Over the Republican Party. He knows which side of I always forget that saying. He knows who's feeding him, and he's not going to bite the hand that feeds him. What has the Republican Party done for Mike Breen? But he knows what the Spanos have done for him. They're giving his daughter a promotion. They're going to be giving him a job, Michael Sabatino style. Michael Sabatino, along with Mike Breen in 2018, I believe, introduced the term of the third term extension. Right? Remember that? And so Michael Sabatino was rewarded with a job as the director of constituent services. And so Mike Breen's hoping for that. But he's not going to get it right away now. We're making it hot, right? A lot of people are talking about it. I've been talking about it, right? So we got to slow it down. So he has to run again. He's going to do another term possibly if, this goes through and the lawsuit isn't successful. And so he'll wait it out, but he's got a job lined up, and Patty's going to continue to make money with the real estate deals. What's your cut, Patty? Let's see, some of them deals are huge. How much they giving you? Better renegotiate if it's low. I'll negotiate for you. Let me know. Going there with Nick. Nick, you better give Patty some more. Mike Breen is Wilford Brimley. I don't know who that is. The Yonkers Republican Party has no other option but to censor Breen for undermining the party and his Republican colleagues. Their inaction would simply mean that they stand for nothing. And you're right. And the Republican Party has to act. So I was speaking to someone about it, and they said, I doubt that the Republican Party is going to do anything, but they need to. They need to step up, and they need to just be flat out, direct and say, hey, Mike Breen is undermining the Republican Party. He is working against his own constituents, the people that voted for him. And it's time that we get him out. He's got to go. And send Justin Tubiolo with him. He's doing the same. Trust me, he's undermining the Republicans just the same. He's got also, deals worked out. His son, he's promised that no one will run against his son. They'll continue to endorse David Tubiolo as long as Justin plays nice. This is Yonkers. No, he sold out for control of gerrymandering, which is illegal and no opponent. He thinks he can do what Sabatino did. I wonder if one of his kids will be the one to arrest him. Let's ask the ethics board. Yeah, the ethics board that no longer exists, right? The now defunct ethics board. I want to move on real quick, so I don't want to be on long. Did anyone see the Mike Spano video? Two Mikes. Mike Breen, now moving on to Mike Spano. Mike Breen sold out the party, guys. Republicans in District 5 should not be voting for him. They should be upset with him. But the thing with District 5 and the new District 5 that they created, that's where these social elites and political elites, a lot of them live. So they're going to do whatever Spano tells them to do. So just saying, right? I want to move on to Mike Spano. Breen's legislative aide has control over the Yonkers GOP Facebook page, and he is deleting all the comments critical of Breen. Wow. There's a lot going on today with this Republican Party. Corrupt censorship at its worst. Shame on Breen, quid quo pro Breen. Hashtag shame on Breen. All right, that's the new hashtag, shame on Breen. The Yonkers GOP Facebook page has been hacked by Breen's legislative aide. Hey, guy, you need to stop that. Not against the law. Anyway, Mike Spano was with on this show on YouTube with Maria Trusa. I don't know if I'm saying it correct. He discussed again his sexual abuse at the age of 12 or 13. He's not sure. I'm not sure. Some of the information does change. And if you saw the, when he spoke about it at his time in the assembly, right, and when he was trying to pass Megan's Law, I played a clip of it yesterday. Some of the information changes. And I'm going to play it now, and I want you to listen. Tell me what you think. I'm getting a lot of mixed reviews on this here. Mixed response.
And, my mom had asked me to go to Key Food down McLean Avenue next to my house, next to our house. Go to pick up a gallon of milk. One of 16 children. So somehow I was the person who had to go pick up the milk.
You say you were one of?
I am one of 16 children, yeah. So I walked to Key Food, picked up the milk. I was walking back. And when you're walking back on your left, is a park, basically just wooded area, right? And so just when you get to the end of the wooded area, there is a warehouse with a staircase that basically goes up to nowhere, but it goes up into the woods and then back far. And so I'm walking, with the milk, and some gentleman walked by me, and he said, hey, do you have a cigarette? So why he asked a 12-year-old, why you have a cigarette? I told him no. And So as I walked past that stairwell, he grabbed me by the arm and pulled me into the stairs. And, you know, he was first very nice, just wanted to talk to me. And, you know, but had his hand firmly on my arm. So, you know, it was not letting it go, right?
You must have been really scared.
I was, but, you know, but extremely calm for some reason. I think about it and I'm often surprised that I was able to, because I knew that every time I either panicked or if I pulled the other way, there was part of me that said to me, I think he's enjoying this. The other part of it was the further he pulls me up those stairs, would be less of a chance that I'm ever going to get out of this. So he pulled me up probably halfway up the stairs, you know, and it was, by that point, you know, I was out of view of the site. And I was trying to figure out, how am I going to get out of this? You know? And I, at one point I decided, and I don't know why, maybe saved my life, I don't know, that I'm going to tell him that I'm okay with this, that I'm going to go into the woods with you. Because I knew maybe if I can continue to talk to him and I could keep him from really getting me there. So I decided to lie to him, tell him that this was something I wanted to do. But I told him that my father who's waiting for me just up the street, and that he'd be really upset if I'm not home like really soon. And again, you know, this is probably a good hour, and he would every chance he could, he would pull me a little further, and then he would touch a little more, and he'd reach for a little more, or get his access to a little more, and I kept on telling him, okay, you know, I'll be okay with this. I said, but if I'm not home, he's gonna be really upset, and he's gonna come looking for me, and we're both gonna be in a lot of trouble. And he eventually he let me go. He let me leave. And so I calmly walked down the stairs. But I'm gonna tell you something. While I was there, while I was talking to him, while he was doing the things he was doing, I studied him. I studied what he was wearing. I knew about his no socks, his moccasins, and his brown pants with the lines down, to his shirt, to his white shirt, and to his little gray hairs on his chin. I studied him because I knew I was going to get out of this mess somehow. And then when I did, I was going to make sure that everyone knew who this guy was. And, you know, like I said, after a long ordeal, I was able to work my way out. And I convinced him that I'd be back there the next day at 1 o'clock. And so when he let me go and he stayed on the stairs, and I left and I walked. Now it's a big, long warehouse. So you have to go around the warehouse and then go up. And when I left there, all of a sudden I was very emotional. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to run hard, and I ran as fast as I could. And I was running home. Now I crossed the street. Now you don't cross the street, right? My parents used to tell me, you don't cross the street because we're on the same side of the street. I crossed the street. Tice was smart enough to cross the street. And I was running. And as I was running past the back of the warehouse, there he was, waiting for me. But I was across the street.
The man?
Yeah. So he was waiting for me, and I was running. And when I saw him, I immediately stopped running. I was completely out of breath. I just completely stopped running. And I looked across the street at him and I smiled at him and I said, I'll see you tomorrow, 11 o'clock. And he said, okay, 11:01. I don't remember if it was 11:01, but it was, I see you tomorrow. And he smiled back. And then I got home, called the cops. Cops came. I told my story, started to tell a story to the police officers. And one of my sisters was in the background. She started crying. She was sobbing. And, that has an effect on you. So I'm sitting there going, all of a sudden now, I'm concerned about her. I don't want her crying over me. So I'm like, right. So I stopped sharing the story at that point. Then we went down to Alexander Street. Actually, we didn't go down Alexander Street. The detective came, drove around looking for this guy. And the detective said, listen, I know that you think this guy's going to be here tomorrow. That guy's gone. He's never coming back. And I said to the detective, he'll be there. I convinced him. I convinced this guy that I was coming back. I said, and I don't ever want to talk about this again, but I'm telling you, because if he had got me way up in those woods, I was not coming back out. But I convinced him to keep me from going into, I convinced this guy. So the very next day, my brother Nick, who was then became a state senator, was in the assembly. He wasn't in the assembly then. I think he just ran for the assembly a few years after that. They drove to the spot. Nick and Lenny drove to the spot. Sure enough, there he was, sitting on the stairs waiting for me to come back. And Lenny jumped out of the car, said, I want to talk to you. And that's when he took off. And they chased him. They caught him. And then they brought him over to, my father had a gas station on Riverdale Avenue. So I was there the next day and I saw the police car pull up. And I remember going to the car and looking in the window of the car in the back seat. And there he was. And you know what? Begging me, don't say it. He was looking at me like this going, don't say it. Don't say it. And you know what? I almost said it wasn't him. I just, all of a sudden I felt this, like, oh my God. I was like, this guy is like a mess. I mean, and
You were feeling sorry for him at that moment.
isn't that weird? And my brother Johnny's looking at me, goes, and is this him? Is this him? And everybody's kind of yelling at me, is this him? Is this him? And I remember at one point I took a back step, and they were like, what's going on? Is this him? And then I said, yes, it was him. We went to booking. He was let go because, back then.
He was let go?
Sure. Well, we went. He was arrested. There was never a trial because the detectives told my father, said, listen, there's no physical evidence. There's no DNA or anything like that. It's your son's word against him. And that was it. There was a point when we left the police station and I was walking with my brother and I saw my father approach him. He was in handcuffs with the police officers. I saw my father approach him and I don't know what he said to him. He was pretty heated and I saw it in his face. He was really angry. And again, that made me feel bad too, because I didn't want my father angry like that. I didn't want him to feel what I felt, right? I mean, I didn't want my sister to feel what I felt. I didn't want anybody to feel what I felt. So I thought it was best to just let it go, right? And that was the last time, we talked about it until I went to the assembly. And I felt compelled to say something because it was there, it was in front of me. And it was something that I said, I want to bring this story up. I want to talk about it. And I did. And then I didn't talk about it anymore.
Did you get any support? Did you get any help? Did you go to any psychologist?
We didn't do, and probably should have, right? Because I think it had affected me in lots of ways. Frankly, some ways I think it prepared me for this job, right? There's a positive byproduct somehow, some weird way, right? But should I think that, God forbid this happened today, you get your child counseling and you do those things, right?
Yeah.
It was a different time.
Did you share this with your children?
Yeah, I did. I shared this with my children when you and I got together. I never shared it with them. And meanwhile, that video of me speaking on the assembly floor when I was 27 years old in 1992 is there. But you have to search for it. So I told him, we talked about it, and I told him about it. And I asked him, I said, just watch the video, just watch the video.
How about your wife?
She knew about it.
Did you tell her before you got married?
She knows the pain. And she never judged me for this, just only, wanted to be there and be supportive.
I know it is so hard for men.
Well, that's the interview that he recently did with Maria Trusa. Some people are saying, well, if it happened, that's horrible. It is. If it definitely happened, it's horrible. And, and some people are saying, I don't know. I'm not so sure if that story, actually happened. I don't know. And, and anyone, at least I would, but I think a lot of people or most people would hate to discredit anyone who's saying that they've been sexually abused. Right. And I've shown this to, a few actually, therapists and stuff now. And I've asked for their opinions. I wanted multiple people's opinions, a few people. And, they've said the same thing. We don't want to ever discredit someone who's saying that. It's just certain things about the story, just it didn't add up. Right. And for some people, I think that's, what's the hang up, right, on these things that don't add up. And, from hearing the first time when he talked about it in the assembly, right back in the 90s till, and then hearing about it now and him recanting the story, there were some differences, right? There were some changes in the story. And again, I don't want to try to say he's lying or discredit him, but people have said, is he looking to get the sympathy vote? I mean, he is going against a, really tough fourth term. He had a lot of opposition, a lot of public opposition now, something that has not seen before against Spano. It's mostly it was relatively quiet, but now people are just had enough. They're fed up. And so is he looking for what's known as the sympathy vote? Is that what that is? And so that's what some people are saying. He says, he tells a story that he was grabbed by the arm and pulled up some stairs. He didn't mention any stairs the first time. He just said he was pulled into some woods. He didn't mention anything about, a school or playground or anything, or warehouse, I should say. There was no warehouse before or staircase. It was just he was walking by the woods when he spoke about it in the assembly, but now it's a warehouse and stairs. He said he gradually walked up the stairs, and I guess he went, a few steps every hour because he said, an hour later, he was halfway up the stairs, but away from the public view. And he was trying to convince the guy. And, and he knew that, if he just, told him that he would come back and convince this guy, that he would believe him. And, and so he had to remain calm. And he, saw what he was wearing and remembered it. He could remember the no socks and the moccasins, right? I'm going to make sure I wear socks. I wear no socks with moccasins sometimes too. But and the pants that he says. So he says that. And then he said, little by little, he kept slowly going up. And he knew if he got into this warehouse that he would be dead. It would be over. But is that how kidnappers operate? Do they sit there and negotiate with their victims? Do they allow their victims to dictate what's going to be happening? Do they believe their victims when they say, hey, if you let me go, I'll come back later or come back tomorrow? Do they care about the victims' curfews or the fact that they, are going to be, missed? Of course they're going to be missed if they don't return. When he spoke about it in the assembly, he said he was gone for 3 hours. The guy kept him in the woods for 3 hours, is what he said. When he's recanting his story here, he does mention, being there for an hour, but doesn't really tell you exactly how long he was there. He said he was let go, and then he ran down the street around the warehouse, crossing the street first. And then he got to a corner where he saw the guy again, it's almost like Jason, right? And like, they always, and Mike Myers, how do they always get in front of the people? Right after you just leave them all the way behind there and you're in a pickup truck and you drive down the road and then boom, they're in front of you. How did that happen? And it seemed like it was kind of like that. That's what I thought of when I heard that. And then so he stopped and he waved at the guy. And from across the street, he told him, I'll see you tomorrow at 11. No, I mean 1. Right? He kind of forgot the time there. And then he went and told his, siblings. And then he said this time that it was his sister that was behind him. And when he was telling the police the story, he saw how upset it made his sister. And so he didn't want to really tell the story anymore. But when he spoke about it in the assembly, he said it was his mom that was standing behind him. And he didn't want to tell her, but she heard him telling the police and he saw how upset she was. So that changed a little bit, right? And then he goes on to say, that Lenny, his brothers, the police didn't believe him. They didn't really believe his story, or they told him that the guy was going to be long gone. He wasn't going to be around. But they drove around anyway looking for this guy, and he wasn't around. And then when he spoke about it in the assembly in the 90s, he said that the police drove to the woods and they didn't see the guy. And so Lenny and Nick decided to go back to the woods, is what he said initially, at 1 p.m. He said the same thing now. And then they saw the guy. And this time, in this interview here, he says that Lenny and Nick took him to the gas station on Riverdale Avenue that their dad owned. But initially in the assembly, he said that they saw him in the woods and they called the police. And the police said, well, how do you know it's him? And he said, because of what he's wearing. He's wearing the exact same outfit. So then when the police got there, they took him from the woods. But they didn't believe him, or they said it's his word against his. So nothing was done. And that's the story. But why wasn't this guy arrested and charged with kidnapping? The police don't make that decision, right? Don't they arrest the guy, let the prosecution build the case, and then, present it to a judge in a court of law, to a jury in a court of law, and then they decide whether or not there's enough evidence? There's this 12-year-old boy whose father is well known, owns a gas station, is a businessman, owns a gas station, also involved in politics, and they don't believe him? He was gone for 3 hours, was he not? That we know for a fact. Where did they think he was this whole time? And he says this time now that he was touched, or the guy kept touching more. Exactly how doesn't really say. But was he not, examined by anyone, a doctor or something? I mean, there had to be more done than just they didn't believe him and said it's his word against his. Okay. I don't get that part. I'm having a little trouble there understanding that. I'm sorry. So again, I don't want to discredit or not believe him when he's saying that. Can someone pull the report on this, or did it miraculously disappear? I'm not sure. He's lying. Pedophiles don't make appointments and they don't care about their victims' curfews. Let's hear this creep's name if he was real. Hashtag Spano Crime Family. Right? Right. The police let the guy go because Mike's words wasn't good enough. It's just unimaginable, the stuff this guy can get people to believe. I'll bet his brothers are the only ones who can confirm that the guy ever existed. Now, and that's Anthony DiMaggio. He's a 15-year veteran of the Yonkers Police Department, the greatest police department in the country. Anyone disagree? I don't think so. So that gives him, to me, a lot of credibility, considering that he had a, impeccable record up until he had a problem with Louis, the liar, as he calls him, Louis Venturino, former Yonkers Police Detective Sergeant. And he would know, right? He would understand this because I'm sure he's had some training on this, and he's, dealt with liars, suspects who are lying, right? And he's dealt with these type of situations. And I mean, would that be true? Would they just say, well, it's your word against his? I mean, you were gone for 3 hours, but hey, not with him. He's saying you weren't with him, but you are. You're saying, I mean, you're describing what he's wearing. I can't imagine that they would not arrest this guy. I can't imagine that they just let him go. Right? And this is a story that if you present it to people, it would make it difficult for anyone to try and discredit you because of what you're telling them. You're telling them that you were a victim of sexual abuse. Who's going to sit there and say you're a liar, right? And I don't want to say that. I'm just listen, folks. I mean, I've worked in the field. My wife works in the field. I mean, I've seen this before. I've seen victims, for a fact, and it's just something about it just doesn't add up. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Then why is he associating with child sex crime offenders? Everyone in the city of Yonkers, just about, well, not everyone, but a lot of people, especially the political insiders and elites, know about Ruro's past when Brian Harrod of the Yonkers Newswire was spreading it all over the Facebook and the internet. They also knew about the police report where he had child pornography in his computer. So why is the mayor associating with this guy? Why does the mayor associate and do business with a gentleman by the name of James Sertivo, a registered sex offender who was recently in the city council chambers representing his clients, Ginsburg, who does a lot of business with the Spanos. Ginsburg Development hired Nick Spano's lobbying firm, Empire Strategic Planning. They have 2 sexual predators working for them, James Sertival and a guy named Anthony Magniglia. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. But that guy was videotaping himself having sex with women without their consent. And very recently, and what the Yonkers GOP seemed to be fighting over now with Mike Breen, the redistricting, that was done by a man named Andrew Beveridge. He has connections to his James Sertival, who is his close friend. They go back to since 1985. They've been friends, and he defended him when he got arrested for his sodomy charge. He was convicted of it. A 14-year-old boy, James Sertivo. Now he's a registered sex offender. But Andrew Beveridge, the guy who was recently hired to redistrict Yonkers and did it in such a corrupt way, is damn near his best friend. And he victim shamed the boy back when he got caught. And you can read in articles there where Andrew Beveridge is basically saying, well, the kid was aggressive. He wanted to get sodomized. I mean, he was sleeping around with 9 other men. That's just who he is. He's promiscuous. Why are you mad at James? James Sertivo is a predator. He would go on the internet looking for 14-year-old boys, underage boys, to have sex with. He found one, got caught, and Andrew Beveridge, the guy that recently redistricted Yonkers, was supporting him and victim shaming the sex crime victim, the child who was abused by an adult male who sought him out on the internet. And this is the guy that our city council recently hired. So Mayor Mike Spano, you say you are a victim of a child molester who kidnapped you for 3 hours and didn't sodomize you, but he molested you. And you have no tolerance for individuals that do that. You passed Megan's law, you championed for it. Why are you allowing so many pedophiles, registered sex offenders, men who pled guilty to sex crimes, child sex crimes, operate here in the city of Yonkers? You are inviting them to operate not just in the city of Yonkers, but in our public schools. It doesn't add up to me. You should be disgusted with Ruros. You should be disgusted with James Sertivo. You should be disgusted with that guy, Anthony. You should be disgusted with that guy, Phil, for even being connected to little Orlandito, 12-year-old boy. He was 12-year-old boy also. Mike Spano, 12-year-old Orlandito Di Rosario. He was working there in Linden at the grocery store, the bodega. I think it's now Food Town too. And he never made it back home. And they questioned Phil Jalil, whatever Jalil, for it. They also kind of tried to tie it to James Sertivo and all these pedophile guys. And many believe there was a pedophile ring in Yonkers, and it still may be operating just more underground. And Mike Spano, if you again are a victim, why are you not trying to root this out and rid the city of individuals like this, rather than welcoming them into our communities and allowing them to operate with impunity. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. The YPD is the greatest police force in the nation, has been for many years now, but in 1977, if a politician's son fingered a man for sexually abusing him, the cops would have been beating him into a coma and threw him in the Hudson River. Believe that, and I do believe it. That's why I don't necessarily believe this, and I'm not trying to be that way, but let's say, again, at the very least, whatever, then why are you associating with child sex crime offenders, pedophiles? Why, Mayor Spano? You are inviting them into our city. They're sitting there as we are hearing Tasha Diaz call people beggars and stuff, not knowing that this guy is a pedophile. He's gonna sodomize kids. And you allowing it. You don't seem to care. So why should anyone believe what you're saying? Doesn't make sense. Is this about a sympathy vote? It's not working. Not as long as Freddie Vasquez is here with Basement Politics. You should have let me be a daycare owner. You should have let me be on number 2 right now. I probably would be on number 3 daycare center. But you decided to mess with me, and now I'm in politics to mess with you. Let's vote them out.
Freddie
I'm up out of here.
Fatality.
Yeah. Folks, I can't wait. Things are going to get a bit exciting here in the next couple of weeks, maybe sooner. We got to shake things up. I'm Freddie Vasquez, and we need to vote for change. And some of you are not feeling confident about the option. Things might just change.
Freddie wins.
I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. I'm focused. This is watching. This is where the truth lives. And we may get it wrong sometimes, but I do correct myself. By the way, Dave Tubiolo was not at the meeting at Mount Olympus. It was Justin Tubiolo. Justin Tubiolo is a Republican, former Republican chair. They got into a fight over the redistricting meeting, upset with Mike Breen for supporting everything Spano. And that's because he is a Spano puppet. He's not going to bite the hand that feeds him. He knows which side of the bread is, I don't know. You know the saying.
Freddie wins.
I'm out of here. Peace out. Folks, have a beautiful rest of the day. Watch out. Be careful out there. It's slick and it's snowing. It's wet. Stay dry. Stay safe. Thank you. You can go on and watch the entire interview. Pretty much wasn't much more. But what do you think? I want to know. Do you believe the story? And if you do, what do you think about the mayor associating with individuals like Rui Ben-Rose, a.k.a. Yonkers Voice, people like James Sertibal and Anthony Magniglia, whatever. Go look them up. I posted them on my page. You can read all about it. Registered sex offenders.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
No! Hey, Anthony Moranti. Calling Anthony Moranti. Listen, guy. I'm on your side here. Join me on the podcast. Let's let the people know what's going on. I would love to have you on, strictly to talk about what's been happening, the redistricting and the term limit meeting, and the passing of that. Anthony Moranti, please reach out to me. Have your staff reach out to me at politicwithfred@gmail.com. I'd love to have you. Right? I'm on your side here. Let's let the people know. Let's inform the people. This is very important, Mr. Moranti. I would love for you to be on the show. Please take this as a formal invite. I'll have my office also reach out to you via email. Please, we have to talk to the people about this. Let's let them know what's happening here. Forget about parties. This is about what's right. This is about our democracy. The people need to know. Anthony Moranti, thank you.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
No! Shout out to the GOP. Watch out, that guy Justin. And Justin, ask your son about those grota o mita, grotto parties. Grota, oh no, grota. La grota? Ask him about the grota party. Let's go. Should have just let me be a daycare owner and a businessman. I would have never been involved, Dave. Involved, Justin. Now we're going to talk about that La grota parties. Yeah, Justin. What are you going to do?
Freddie wins.
What's La Grota Party? Well, let's talk about it. Are these the individuals you want being elected? Mess with me, I mess with you right